The bounty went live at 0200 Galactic Standard Time. Within minutes, the message spread across the underworld networks like wildfire. 10 million credits for one human. No conditions. Dead or alive. In the grimy depths of Outpost Iraq, a lawless station orbiting the dead moon of Kaviri 9, alien mercenaries gathered in dim-lit cantinas and rusted docking bays, whispering in a dozen tongues. Humans were rare in the galaxy, and one worth that much meant two things. He was dangerous and someone powerful wanted him gone. Most bounty hunters didn't care about the why. The reward was astronomical, enough to buy a personal warship or bribe a planetary governor. The problem was the target himself, Mikhail Antonov. Mikhail sat alone in a rundown mechanic's bay, hands stained with synthetic oil, fixing the hydraulic servos of a client's cargo hauler. His muscular frame was draped in a plain work jacket, the sleeves pushed up to reveal arms crisscrossed with scars, souvenirs from a past life he'd buried. His face, hardened by years of discipline, held the weary patience of a man who had seen too much and cared too little. He didn't need to check the bounty networks to know they were coming. The air in the station had changed. Dockworkers avoided eye contact, and the usual drunken arguments in the main corridor had gone silent. He had spent years on the run, changing names, adapting, surviving, but it was never enough. The door to the bay hissed open. Mikhail didn't turn. "You Antonov?" a voice rasped. Slowly, he finished tightening the servo, wiped his hands on a rag and looked up. The bounty hunter was Kurlak, a Virati enforcer, 8 feet of scaled muscle, his wide-set yellow eyes gleaming with confidence. He wore a full set of reinforced combat plates, plasma rifle slung lazily over his shoulder, talons flexing at his sides. Mikhail sighed and leaned back against the workbench. "You came alone?" The Virati's mandibles twitched in amusement. "Don't need anyone else for a soft-skinned target." Mikhail nodded, eyes scanning. The bounty was new, which meant the first wave of hunters would be overconfident idiots, eager to claim the reward before real professionals arrived. Without another word, he picked up a nearby plasma torch, flicked it on, and hurled it at Kurlak's face. The alien roared, staggering back as the white-hot flames sliced through his helmet visor. Mikhail moved, fast, closing the distance in 2 strides, ducking under a wild claw swipe. He grabbed the plasma rifle still strapped to Kurlak's shoulder and yanked, twisting it against the Virati's own arm. Bones cracked. A second later, he drove an elbow into Kurlak's throat. The alien choked, eyes bulging, and Mikhail shoved him back against the wall. A wrench sat on the workbench. He grabbed it and swung. The first hit dented Kurlak's armor. The second caved in his skull. The third was just to be sure. The massive body slid to the floor. Blood, thick and violet, pooled beneath the cooling corpse. Mikhail exhaled and checked the Virati's gear. No tracking beacons, no squad support. He was safe for now. Outside the bay, the station remained quiet, but he knew better. The real threats were coming. By morning, every hunter in the sector would know that their easy target had just killed his first pursuer without breaking a sweat. Mikhail left the corpse where it lay. Moving it would only delay the inevitable, and he had no intention of hiding. The moment the bounty went out, the chase had begun. His only advantage was knowing that few in this galaxy had ever hunted a man like him. As he stepped into the main corridor of Outpost Iraq, the air carried a tension he recognized. He had walked through war zones, cities just before they collapsed into violence, forests where unseen enemies waited. This station was no different. Conversations hushed as he passed, eyes darting toward him, calculating, debating. Some of these men and aliens were bounty hunters, others just opportunists waiting for an easier moment to strike. He took the long route toward the lower districts, weaving through the marketplace, where merchants sold illegal weapons alongside engine parts. The scent of scorched metal and ammonia-based lubricants filled the air. Here, surrounded by smugglers and thieves, he had a better chance of spotting who was hunting him before they made their move. Near the entrance of a rundown bar, he caught his first sign of real trouble. A group of Forlak mercenaries, clad in worn combat armor, leaned against a stack of crates, pretending not to watch him. Too casual. They weren't dockworkers or traders. They were waiting. Mikhail continued walking, passing a vendor selling handheld pulse grenades. His fingers brushed over one as he stopped to inspect a rusted knife, his back half turned to the mercenaries. "You're being watched," the vendor muttered under his breath. His species was unknown to Mikhail, some kind of reptilian with dark, oily skin and deep-set yellow eyes. "I know," Mikhail said quietly. The vendor chuckled, exposing rows of sharp, jagged teeth. "Then you also know they're not the only ones." Mikhail's grip on the knife tightened slightly. He could feel it now, the weight of too many eyes on him. The bounty had reached the right ears. A click echoed in the marketplace. Someone had drawn a weapon. Mikhail didn't turn toward it. Instead, he flicked the knife he had been inspecting, quick, precise. It buried itself in the throat of one of the Forlak mercenaries before he could finish aiming. The alien staggered back, gurgling, hands clutching at the blade. Then the fighting began. The remaining mercenaries drew their weapons, but Mikhail had already dropped low, rolling behind a nearby stall as a plasma bolt ripped through the air where he had stood a second before. Screams filled the marketplace as vendors and civilians scrambled to escape. Mikhail grabbed a metal pipe from the ground and threw it with lethal accuracy, striking a second Forlak in the temple. The mercenary crumpled before he could fire a shot. The last one hesitated. Mikhail could see the doubt flicker in his alien eyes, the realization that this bounty wasn't worth dying for. The mercenary took a step back. Mikhail was already moving. He closed the distance in an instant, grabbing the Forlak's rifle barrel and jerking it sideways. A pulse round discharged into the ground. Mikhail wrenched the rifle free and slammed the stock against the alien's skull, knocking him out cold. The battle lasted less than 10 seconds. Silence followed. The few remaining onlookers stared at Mikhail, their expressions a mix of awe and fear. Even the black market vendor who had warned him seemed impressed. Mikhail exhaled, wiping a smear of blood off his cheek. The bounty hunters were getting smarter. This was no longer just overconfident thugs hoping for an easy kill. The real hunters were coming next. He took the pulse rifle and walked away without a word. The bodies were still warm when the next wave arrived. Mikhail had felt them before he saw them. Trained killers carried a silence about them, the kind that could only be earned through years of discipline and bloodshed. These weren't thugs or overeager mercenaries. They were professionals, and they had waited for him to make the first move, using the dead Forlaks as bait. He kept walking, the stolen pulse rifle hanging loosely at his side, steps measured. The station's air recyclers hummed overhead, masking all but the sharpest sounds. Movement in the upper walkways. A flicker of something unnatural against the dim neon glow. Cloaking tech. At least one of them was running stealth gear. Mikhail let his pace slow, just slightly. They'd expect him to run to find cover. That's what a prey animal would do. He wasn't prey. The first shot came from the right, a sniper firing from a balcony above the marketplace. Mikhail dropped low, the plasma round searing the air inches above his head. The moment he hit the ground, he fired back, not at the sniper but at a rusted support beam beneath the balcony. The metal, weakened by decades of neglect, gave way with a groan, sending the sniper crashing through 2 levels of scaffolding. Mikhail was already moving. A hulking shape emerged from the shadows ahead. Tarkvash warlord nearly 7 feet of armored muscle, his massive hands gripping an energy blade that shimmered with a predatory glow. Tarkvash believed in honorable combat, in meeting an enemy face to face, and Mikhail had no intention of giving him that satisfaction. He fired twice, center mass. The warlord's armor flared as it absorbed the impact, his stride unbroken. Mikhail sidestepped a downward slash, the blade cutting through the floor plating as though it were paper. He twisted around the Tarkvash's outstretched arm, drew his combat knife, and drove it between the armored plates at the alien's side. A roar of pain, a staggering step backward, that was all the opening Mikhail needed. He grabbed a loose power conduit from a damaged console and shoved it against the warlord's exposed wound. The electrical discharge lit up the corridor, blue arcs dancing across the Tarkvash's body. The alien convulsed, his armor locking up as the surge overloaded his neural systems. Mikhail yanked his knife free and let the body drop. 2 down. The next attack came from behind. He felt the shift in the air, the faintest distortion. Cloaking tech disengaging He spun, bringing the pulse rifle up, but the Xenovore assassin was faster. A razor-thin monomolecular blade sliced across Mikhail's forearm, drawing blood. The rifle fell from his grip. The Xenovore struck again, moving with inhuman speed. Mikhail barely managed to twist aside, the blade skimming his ribs. He caught a glimpse of the creature's face, void black eyes, skin like polished obsidian a predator in every sense of the word. Mikhail feigned a stumble. The assassin lunged in for the kill. At the last second, Mikhail pivoted sharply, grabbing the Xenovore's wrist and using its own momentum to drive the monomolecular blade into its throat. The creature froze, eyes widening in disbelief. Then it collapsed, twitching once before going still. Mikhail pressed a hand to his bleeding arm, breath coming in measured exhales. The wound wasn't deep. He'd had worse. A faint clicking noise echoed from the far end of the corridor. Mikhail turned just in time to see the last hunter. ***, a cybernetic tracker ***. Step forward, weapon raised. Unlike the others, this one hadn't rushed in. He had watched, analyzed, calculated. Mikhail reached for his fallen rifle. The tracker fired first. Pain ripped through Mikhail's shoulder as the round tore clean through. He staggered back but forced himself upright. The tracker had made a mistake. He'd gone for a non-lethal shot, aiming to incapacitate rather than kill. Mikhail took a slow breath and charged straight at him. The tracker hesitated, just for a fraction of a second, but it was enough. Mikhail closed the distance, ignored the pain, and drove his knee into the alien's abdomen. The tracker doubled over and Mikhail ripped the rifle from his hands, flipping it around and firing point blank into his chest. The tracker crumpled, circuits sparking as his augmented body failed him. Mikhail exhaled, wiping sweat from his brow. The corridor was littered with corpses. The station was starting to notice. By now, every bounty hunter in the sector would realize the truth. This wasn't a hunt. It was a war. Mikhail pressed his back against the cold metal wall, blood seeping from the wound in his shoulder. His breath was steady despite the pain, his mind cataloging injuries, assessing movement, recalculating. His enemies were dead, but that hardly meant he was safe. This was only the beginning. The station had seen everything. The whispers were already spreading. The bodies of elite bounty hunters were proof that their prey was not what they expected. His comm unit crackled. An open frequency, no encryption. A voice, smooth and deliberate, filled the channel. "You've been very busy, Antonov." Mikhail exhaled through his nose, ignoring the burning in his arm. He recognized the tone, controlled, superior, the voice of someone who never had to raise it to be obeyed. "Is this the part where you offer me a way out?" Mikhail muttered, dragging himself down the corridor. A soft chuckle. "No. This is the part where I tell you what happens next. The bounty has been raised. 50 million credits. Every mercenary, assassin, and warlord in the system will be coming for you." Mikhail reached a stairwell, pausing at the threshold. "Sounds expensive." "It will be worth every credit." The line went dead. Mikhail wiped his hand against his jacket, slick with blood. The wound wasn't lethal, but he was losing too much time. His enemies were regrouping. He needed to leave the station before the next wave arrived. The lower docks were his best option. If he could reach a ship, any ship, he could be off-world before the station collapsed into full-scale chaos. But he knew better than to believe in an easy escape. There were always more hunters. His instincts proved correct the moment he reached the next junction. He heard them first. ***, heavy boots, tactical movement, not the careless stomping of common thugs ***. These were soldiers, not freelancers. A strike team. Mikhail ducked into an abandoned maintenance bay, pressing himself into the shadows. He counted 6 before he stopped paying attention. That was more than enough. They moved in formation, sweeping the corridor with professional precision. Their gear was uniform, matching black body armor with compact plasma rifles. No excess movement, no wasted words. A private military unit. Mikhail didn't waste time wondering who they worked for. The answer didn't matter. He needed to act before they found him. He moved low, silent, his body an extension of the shadows. A mercenary passed within inches of him. The moment he stepped ahead, Mikhail grabbed him from behind, knife flashing as he slit the soldier's throat. He lowered the body without a sound, catching the rifle before it could clatter to the floor. 5 left. Mikhail took the dead man's earpiece, slipping it into his own ear. Their comms were clear now. Unit 2 report. Silence. Unit 2 confirm status. A soldier turned, eyes narrowing as he noticed the gap in formation. Mikhail was already moving. He fired twice, hitting one in the head and another in the chest. The third spun, trying to react, but Mikhail closed the distance and drove his knife straight into his sternum, twisting hard. 2 left. The last pair finally reacted, snapping into defensive positions, firing controlled bursts in his direction. Plasma bolts sizzled against metal as Mikhail ducked behind a crate. One of them made a mistake. A small one. He leaned out too far, exposing his leg. Mikhail took the shot. The soldier crumpled with a scream, clutching his shattered knee. His partner hesitated just for a moment, long enough for Mikhail to move. A blur of motion. A brutal strike to the throat. The last soldier collapsed, choking, and Mikhail silenced him with a precise, final stab. The corridor was quiet again. Mikhail exhaled, gripping his wounded arm. His vision swam at the edges. He needed to keep moving. He retrieved spare ammunition from the fallen soldiers, taking what he could use, then slipped away before another wave arrived. The lower docks were close. He could feel it, his escape just within reach. But the moment he stepped onto the platform, he stopped cold. A single figure stood in his path. Not a mercenary. Not a bounty hunter. Something worse. The man was older, tall, wearing a high-collared military coat that bore no insignia. His posture was perfect, his hands clasped behind his back. He looked at Mikhail with cold, calculating eyes, the kind that had measured men before breaking them. Mikhail knew a commander when he saw one. The man smiled, slow and deliberate. "I was hoping you'd make it this far." Mikhail adjusted his grip on the rifle. "And you are the man who put the bounty on your head." The commander took a step forward, completely at ease. "You took something from me, Antonov. Something irreplaceable. I thought a reward would be the best way to see you dead." Mikhail smirked. "You should have sent better people." "Oh, I have." The commander raised his hand. Behind him, the air shimmered. Dozens of armed figures emerged from the shadows, mercenaries in advanced armor, silent, waiting. They had been there the whole time. Watching. Preparing, asterisk. Mikhail's pulse steadied. He had fought worse odds before. The commander tilted his head, intrigued. "You're not afraid, are you?" Mikhail cracked his knuckles, rolling his shoulders despite the pain. "Should I be?" Pause. The commander studied him, then exhaled through his nose as if disappointed. "No. I suppose not." He lowered his hand. The mercenaries moved in. Mikhail fought. He fought like he had been trained to, asterisk, fast, brutal, efficient, asterisk. He fired the stolen rifle until it overheated, then used it as a club, breaking skulls and crushing ribs. He disarmed, disabled, killed, moving through them like a storm of violence. But there were too many. A shock baton slammed into his ribs. Another soldier caught his arm, twisting it back. A fist drove into his jaw. For the first time that night, Mikhail went down. He tasted blood. His vision blurred. He had taken worse beatings before, but his body was reaching its limit. Boots stopped in front of him. He forced himself to look up. The commander knelt. "You impressed me, Antonov. Truly." Mikhail spit blood onto the floor. "Go to hell." The commander smiled. "Perhaps. But first, you're going to wish I'd let them kill you." Darkness took him.